Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Roque with Scott Varilek with Kooima Kooima Varilek. The grain trade is steady to weaker this morning, while the livestock futures, well, we started off with some pressure, but we are back to the plus side, including in that cattle market. And Scott, we always start off with cattle, and of course, it was not the best technical day yesterday. Made new highs for the move. We filled that April chart gap, and then it looks like we scored some reversals. Can we negate those or not?
Yeah, and thanks for having me. But technicals, we can lead off with that. I think you're right. I mean, there was such a interesting day in the cattle and a lot of news to digest. So starting with these technicals, we had the 190.27 was a gap in the April live cattle chart that everybody's been talking about for since the way down. You know, we left it last year in that bloody spiral disaster, and now we've closed some of these gaps on the way up, and that was the last one left to close. Heard it from several other brokers, several other people. I mean, everybody's got that same 190.27 target. So if you're interested in doing some hedging, some selling, that's where you were pricing, just below that or right on it, waiting to see what happens if that fills. And yesterday we filled that to the tick. You know, on some nice strength, we fill that gap and immediately started to fail from there. And that snowball started quickly as the market started to erode. And there was a lot of selling, longs getting out. There was hedges coming in. So it had to absorb that kind of a sell pressure on a market that's, you know, we see some high volume, but it's still evident that we have a large algorithm trade happening in this market because there's not like there's a lot of bids and offers to soak up these moves. So it's going to move triple digits if you get some increased volume in this cattle market. So that was the biggest start of why we had such a big break yesterday, I think.
Yeah, and it was discouraging because we had higher cash prices, and in fact, we could have some record cash trade here this week, right?
Yeah, we had good news there last week. Got some higher prices. Everybody has enough guts to try to ask higher yet again. I think everybody's kind of asking 190. That was coming into the week, and once that break happened in the futures, started to trickle. You know, there was a little 188, some 189. There was, you know, some small regional trade that did get some 190. So there is a few regionals that are really scrambling after cattle. If we didn't have these regionals, you know, starting this cash push, it'd be a lot harder to do it. So we're thankful that they're in the market, that we have some of those guys to get the ball rolling, to get some of this cash started, because there is just such a smaller amount of cash that we trade than what we used to. And that's the live cattle cash. It's been on the way up, but feeder calf prices, they've been setting record highs all along. You know, that's where you've got a lot of buyers, you've got a lot of sellers, and that market is unhooked wild. You know, I mean, guys telling me, you know, the insurance, you have to insure a load of feeder calves for $200,000, one load of feeder calves. I mean, they're at some astronomical prices, and it's impressive. And feeders are the leaders. That's where we're at. Live cattle are higher, but still a little bit draggier compared to what that red hot feeder calf market is.
Yeah. So Scott, where has most of the cash trade been this week?
I've seen mostly in the north, and there wasn't, you know, the amount compared to last week. We're not there yet. We didn't sell quite as many as we probably did a week ago. So there's a few happening, a few trades here and there, but I still think there's a group asking 190. Yesterday at about 1:00, all the bids got pulled. All the packers quit buying. That was a little bit alarming. I still think they need cattle. They want cattle, but why would they push it much higher if it's feeling like it's getting out of control? We had a break in the futures. They would rather slow down their kill, use their formula cattle, and just kind of keep turning and keep this negotiated price down. So it'll be interesting to see. They're going to have to, you know, take that charge again and try to get some more numbers. And it's probably going to have to be led by a regional if that's going to happen. But that's where most of the trade is happening, is some of these smaller regionals in the north.
So the volume mainly in that 180 to 190 area live, maybe some 300 on a draft basis, or what?
Hearing some 297. I think there's a lot priced at 300 trying to get it, but heard a little 297 bid here not too long ago that could be resurfacing again. But 188, 189, There was the little bit of 190, but not much. And these cattle are pretty clean with the lack of moisture that we had. So I think you're hearing a lot more of these live bids than you normally would this time of year.
Gotcha. The other thing we should point out is weights were up pretty substantially in this week's report, weren't they?
Yep, that's the overhanging negative factor we have for sure. When every carcass is carrying 20 extra pounds than it was a year ago, that's a pretty large number. So we've got good feeding conditions, we've got cheaper corn, and we don't have a bunch of closeouts that are really green and profitable, making money. There's some of these cattle feeders are losing some money here, even with some of these prices, because the feeder calf prices were so high, paying too much for the feeders. So we are our own worst enemy. You'll hear us say that all the time. But so you're going to have some producers fight the market. And you put these extra pounds on and sell them for $1.88 a pound. Yeah, that incentive is there to put that extra weight on, because the big steer, big check. I mean, that's what you kind of hear. So those weights could be a problem for us going forward, and that's going to be a problem when we want to get cleaned up. If the market's in trouble, we're going to have some cattle to chew through, I think.
So do you think this was topping action? Do you think we put in an intermediate top here?
It lines up perfect for me on a calendar basis, and I have been bullish for so long, but right now I'm sitting here and I'm pretty nervous. I'm wanting to look for some protection. I'm wanting to make sure I've got my butt covered, because I don't like the action that's happening right here. Some of the things we have setting up, coming into a new calf crop. Long-term story, I still think we're okay. I mean, we're not going to rebuild this cow herd overnight, and I understand that. But short-term right here, I am looking for a little bit of a break. I think we've achieved some objectives, and it's the time of year we can break this market a little bit. So I'm gearing up. I'm rather selling rallies here at the minute than I am trying to buy dips.
Okay. What about this hog market? Do you think we're going to kind of continue to trade in a range for a little while here?
Yeah, it's impressive that hogs can even try to trade in a range. I'm impressed in that myself, but usually a market that's got some volatility in the ups and the downs, and we went higher than I thought we could. Now we're forming a little bit of a sideways range, and to me, I do not think it has to break out to the upsides here yet, unless we got some more of that really good export news coming in. But you closed that plant in Perry, Iowa. I understand that part of these hog futures are derived from some of the cutout value, but I still think that's going to overhang the market and be a bearish signal for me. Yeah, you could short-term get some cutouts that could rally a little bit, but if the cash really starts to struggle and we can't find, places to go with hogs, and we can't get that absorbed quickly, yeah, the path is down in some of those markets. So I'm not going to forget that here for a while. I know it's not till June that they close, but I think that's a pretty negative sign.
Okay.
And yeah, get a little spring rally here on the hogs, and I think we can, possibly break from here. Just got to watch some of these uptrend lines and see if we find a spot for a breakout to the downside.
And the grains did not have the best close yesterday, especially soybeans from a technical standpoint, making new highs for the move. And then I think we ended like over 20 cents off the highs. So we've kind of run up into some chart resistance here, but do you think that these markets have put in a little top for a while? And what news is going to maybe move the market now?
Yeah, and grains have been tough to talk about. I'm sure you know that here for the last while, but we're March 15. We're getting awfully close to some new news and ready to turn that page on to the next story in what that is going to be. So we've got acreage coming out on the end of the month. We're usually kind of lying a little bit flat here in the middle of March, just eagerly waiting until maybe we get, the week ahead of that report. Maybe we could see some movement, but we've had some rally on these markets, and I think that has to be viewed to me as, hey, there's a farmer sitting on a lot of old crop grain, and I'm using this as an opportunity. Yep, you missed the boat. I get it. You don't have to confess to me that, okay, I should have sold this higher. Yeah, we all know that. Let's move on. We have to focus on the next market. So I want to use a little bit of this rally to clean up some of this old crop, and we're going to have to turn the page onto this next story. So entering the acreage battle, we know we're dry. Yep, I hear that from all the farmers calling in. It is very dry. It's okay to be dry right now in March. It's a good time for a drought, but we're going to get field work done pretty quick. And the subsoil moisture is not there. It's very lacking. So we're going to probably get everything planted pretty quick. I think we'll get a good stand. It's just going to be, is this rain going to turn on or not? I mean, the shift from El Nino to La Nina, is that really happening? Are we going to get some moisture? If we don't get moisture, the market's going to explode to the upside. I mean, that's what we're waiting for. But to me, it's not going to be till the middle of June, end of June, before we can start to look at that kind of a story.
Thanks for joining us, Scott Varilek with Kooima Kooima Varilek. That's Markets Now.